Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second episode of the Pigskin Project. I want to welcome one of my personal favorites as a coach when I played and when Ben played as well. We have Coach Tyler Milby on the podcast today. Coach Tyler, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm all right, handling my business. Ben, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm just excited to have him on the podcast.
Yeah,
First guest.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this has been something I've kind of been counting down days, to see like how is this going to plan out and everything. We've got plenty planned out for this podcast, but Coach Tyler, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself just to get us going really quick?
Yeah, so like Ryan said, I coached him and Ben back in the day at Wheeler High School. I have 5 years of varsity football experience. I started off as inside linebackers coach 2 years, transitioned to linebackers coach for 2, and I just came off my first season as a defensive coordinator at Calumet New Tech High School. So
yeah, and congratulations on getting that job as well. That's a huge promotion.
I appreciate it.
Can you describe what it was like for you to coach at our school, your time? How did that go for you?
Listen, I loved Wheeler. I loved everyone who I had. It was definitely something that, for a young coach like me, I think prepared me for what I had to deal with this past year. I love all the players I've coached, and I will continue to love every player I'm going to coach in the future. I think we were going to hit this past season would have been our big stride. Unfortunately, you were already gone, and it just didn't play out. And all of us went our separate ways, and it benefited me greatly. And going to Calumet, I tied the, and when I say it's because my kids are amazing and they listen very well. Tied the school record in the regular season for shutouts in that year. At one point in the state, which was going into week 7, we were number 2 in 3A football, and we were number 6 in the state in total defense. So,
wow.
Fortunately, that didn't plan out, and we dropped the 37th, but still something that I take great pride in, and I know our kids, at least my kids, definitely take pride in. So,
yeah, absolutely. All right. So, Coach, when did you learn that you wanted to coach football in the first place?
My big thing is connecting with kids. I want to keep the love of the game for them while also push them competitively. Unfortunately, my high school football coach did not do that. My position coach was great. My other coach didn't got rid of me wanting to play much. I was blessed to be able to play in college for a little bit, and it wasn't long, but I take that experience. It was great. And I'm like, well, I'm ready to lead people. So I actually coached Pop Warner for 2 years. I mean, we weren't very good. not a lot of participation. Coach Mooney actually asked me, which then got to me to talk to Coach Hudak, which then brought in, I'm there, and then I had coached my one kid, then suddenly here and there, and I just realized I'm really good at it. And I'm very cocky, and I have to say, I have to be confident. If I'm not confident, kids won't believe in what you're teaching. So I just by that, I'm like, all right, let's go coaching. I want to do it, and which led to me being a teacher, and so on and so forth. Rest is history.
And that's awesome. One thing I can say definitely for me and Ryan and my roommate Colt, like, you were an awesome coach. Like, definitely, like, I would say not only were you a great teacher, you were just an awesome person and just like amazing to be around.
Yeah,
I greatly appreciate that.
I also want to kind of commend you for that, just because, I mean, you, for when you coached me, I was on JV my junior year, and that's not necessarily something I like to brag about or tell people. But coming from a school that didn't have football, and that was the first time I had played football since 7th grade. So given the chance that, I was on your JV defense and, starting corner. And even though there were some rough patches, a couple games that I, don't really like to look back on, because, there were some games where I got burnt in coverage, and, there were also some games where I had multiple interceptions, and, some fun ones that we were able to, something really cool that I don't think I've ever told you was the game at Griffith. I believe that was our last game as, the JV unit my junior year. And that touchdown that I had scored was my very first touchdown I have ever scored in, I guess you want to call it my football career, I guess. And, unfortunately that was the only one that I had scored. I had gotten close a couple more times, but, it was awesome. The energy from everybody, the culture that you had set in as well on the JV team to, even though our varsity team might have gotten smacked in the mouth the night before, it was always time to get up and, go and teach them a lesson. So, the next morning, and it was just a lot of fun. But with that being said, I do want to talk about what's your dream coaching scenario as the last question I got for you.
Well, it used to be that I wanted to go coach in college. That was kind of my goal. Not much anymore. It's just one of those. I'll stay at Calumet for 30 years. Head coach will always be on my mind, but being a defensive coordinator, I want to establish pure dominant. I mean, I want to be dominant. I want to be the best defense in the state. I want it to where when you play Calumet, what are we going to do? We held some great running backs this year, very low yardage. I want to continue that. I want it to be a staple. I don't want kids when they're coming up through the middle school be like, yeah, let's go play offense. No, let's go play for Coach Tyler's defense and go set the tone and be the big bad kids we are, and give that, intimidating presence. But I mean, there's a few jobs that if they came up and it just so happened I was blessed to go for later on. I mean, I'll say it, Lowell, it's hometown. That's kind of a dream job, but this is way down the road, just in case if any of my Calumet kids listen. I don't plan on leaving anytime soon. That's a farther down the road job, 10, 15 years. Hobart would be a great place. I mean, I personally, Lake Central, I think would be pretty great. And it's funny to say that because the old Calumet coach is there now. But those are big ifs, because nothing's better than being a defensive coordinator and dominating. There's a lot of stuff, a head coach that I'm sure you guys may have heard of, but until you're a part of that scene and being back there, I work with him every day, makes you not necessarily do that. I'd rather spend my 100 hours of film diagnosing deep offenses and trying to shut them down, not worrying about what we're doing on offense, defense, handling all the, stuff from behind the scenes. So those are my three options, but being at Calumet for 30, 40 years, that's what I want.
Yeah, no, that's actually something, you've brought up a lot of points there. And I think something that you mentioned was, kids in middle school wanting to play for your defense. And as a junior coming in, and, I wanted to be a wide receiver. Unfortunately, for that kid that wanted to be a wide receiver, I didn't get that. But, learning how to play cornerback was something that, I wasn't really familiar with, but it was definitely something that over time I grew this interest in having, played that just because, it was a new thing. And then also, I wanted to be that next starting guy. I wanted to be the guy that started every Friday night, in sectionals and everything when we played against my old school, Rensselaer Central. I wanted to be that guy on the other end of Damian Ruoff, who was the starting corner that year. And something that, I had kind of learned just from, because you brought up another point saying, you want to go and just kind of smack the other team in the mouth, kind of show them, I'm trying to think of like exactly what you said, but almost like show them what you're about, almost, like why you deserve, where you're at right now. And so, when I was trying to get to where I was my senior year, I was working on that junior year against our number one wide receiver. And that was, you got to call out the best to try and be the best. And then that's how you learn and everything. And I hadn't even thought about that before, even working with you. So I don't know if that makes you feel any better as a coach, but I mean, you definitely, installed that mentality into me as well as many others, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, it's funny that you say that too. I mean, the first time I stepped on Calumet, I technically wasn't even the DC yet. I actually started off with me being the inside linebackers coach, but our head coach was a very successful DC. I was just inside, moved, he instilled a little bit, and then we basically just dropped it off. And he said, yeah, you have all the linebackers. And I literally think the next day he called me and said, hey, you're going to call the defense this year. He actually was going to try to hire someone else. And I was in the full game plan of getting that guy here. And then he didn't. I took it and I ran away with it. And first day I told him I said, I'm the best linebackers coach in the state of Indiana. If you don't believe that, you can go sit on the sideline. You won't be better. And I will make you better. I'm the best defensive coordinator in the state. And if you don't believe that, you can get off this defense and go play on the other side of the ball.
Wow. Confidence is key, man.
I mean, every day we called out our best player. He's a great player. He'll be a Division I player when it's all said and done. And we called him out every day, played press man on him every day, and just got in his head every day. And that's all we wanted to do on defense. And I know to make it a little bit short and sweet, got other stuff to talk about. But I mean, we beat Griffith for the first time since 1983, had 3 goal line stands at the 1 yard line against Griffith. We set a mindset, and I bless those kids. They believed in me. I believed in them. So
congratulations on such a great start so far. And, I'm very excited to see what your Calumet New Tech Warriors can do here in the future. But with that being said, let's have some fun and dive in to these NFL matchups. So the week in review, what I have going on, just kind of looking back at next week, or not next week, but the week before, what me and Ben had covered on the first episode. Unfortunately, all of our picks didn't go as planned, but we'll cover that later on. The Bengals ended up beating the Raiders 26-19. The Bills slaughtered the Patriots 47-17. I'm sorry, Ben, but the Buccaneers beat the Eagles 31-15.
Hey, I said they were gonna win. I said they were gonna win.
He knew it was coming, but it's still an unfortunate ending to the season. 49ers beating the Cowboys in a controversial ending, 23-17. And then the Chiefs beating the Steelers 42-21. And then the Rams beating the Cardinals 34-11. Little fun fact for you guys, the 49ers were the only away team this week to walk away with a win during the wild card round. But I do want to take a second and look back on that controversial ending in Dallas. What are your guys' thoughts on that QB run that decided the game? And, a lot of people are blaming the ref that had to spot the ball. A lot of people are blaming Mike McCarthy for designing the play. What are your guys' points of view?
It was definitely Mike McCarthy's fault. I mean, I understand like the ref's position and like he should not have done that. And I understand where the fans are coming from blaming it on the ref, but I mean, you're down by 6 points. What are you doing? Doing a QB draw when you have Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb on the outside.
Well, the big thing being it's the ref's job to set the ball. Anyone who tells you it's the ref's fault is that they don't know football. When you run there, they ran a QB draw, which is fine. They can run it. There's really no bad play calls. You're right. It's just poor execution. They got down there. It's Dak Prescott's fault for handing the ball to his center and setting the ball. It's the offensive line's fault for closing all the gaps because you're trying to spike the ball. When it's clearly the umpire must touch and set the football. If we let the center set the ball every time, I mean, Ben was a center for us. We're gaining a yard every time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's on the Cowboys. You can blame the head coach for the play call or Kellen Moore for the play call. Dak Prescott, it's on him. And giving it to your center to set the ball, that's on him. And them blocking the ref. What is the ref going to do? Run over the guard? I mean, I know some of these refs are jacked to all heck, but I mean, they can't just sit here and knock someone over. I mean, you get to that ref, you give him that football, which if you watch every other game when those situations happen, it's an immediate, you chuck it to that ref, they're set, boom, spike the ball, 2 seconds are off the clock. If that.
Unless you're Juju Smith-Schuster.
Unless you're Juju.
In other news, the Packers are scheduled to play on Saturday with an expected temperature of 12 degrees with a real feel of 3 degrees. And now I'm no meteorologist, but would you guys rather play in a freezing cold blizzard or a 100-degree game?
This isn't close. I think it's heat. And as a center, and especially as Coach Tyler said, as a center and as an offensive lineman, I like to be able to feel my hands. And when it's that cold outside, wearing gloves, it's that much harder. And as long as you hydrate, 100-degree heat, 10 times out of 10.
I'm choosing the 3-degree weather. It's a mindset. And no offense, who's going to be ready? It is what it is. Someone might score 3 points. Someone might score 2. There might not be a lot of points. You're going to have your prima donna guys, hands hurting. The receivers can't catch the ball. Prima donna centers. I played linebacker my entire life. I coach it, and I'm there. I'm ready. It's now obviously some people would be like, "You're dumb. You're an idiot." But when I played, it doesn't matter what the weather was. We didn't wear anything on our arms. We didn't wear gloves. Yeah. We're straight up in a dogfight. 2 seconds into the game anyway, when you get that first hit on your arms, what are you going to feel anyway? Bruises won't hurt. It's not going to cool. You'll just feel a little bit, but your adrenaline's rushing. It doesn't matter. And as soon as you see it, you're going to see a bunch of linemen and a bunch of D-line and linebackers wearing absolutely nothing. So that's my personal preference.
And I don't know if you remember, but Andran would have been our freshman year. It was freezing cold that game. I'm pretty sure it was snowing. But I remember you saying that exact thing to our defense before we headed out. Just a mindset about who's going to play harder, who's going to hit harder, who's going to do what they need to do.
Now to tell you, I was up in that booth with a little heater, about 3 pairs of pants, 5 pairs of socks, 3 sweatshirts. I mean,
He couldn't put
I
his
had it
arms
all in
down.
my bag to add. So to be a hypocrite, I made sure I dressed warm for that. Coaching and playing's a lot different.
I'm with Coach Milby on this one, man. I'm playing in the blizzard because the thing is, you know, when I did play in 7th grade, we were playing in freezing cold rain at Kankakee Valley, and you know, absolutely nobody wanted to make a hit, nobody wanted to get hit. And you know, being in middle school, you haven't really, you know, there are some kids that haven't played Pop Warner and everything, and I was one of them. So you know, you didn't want to get hit because it hurts a little bit more in the cold for some reason. But we ended up tying that game 0-0. Nobody scored. Nobody was kicking field goals or anything. Nothing. You know, so it was a little tough, but at the same time, at, you know, I guess you want to call it like a skill position or whatever for me. You know, I think fatigue starts to set in a little bit quicker when you're in that 100-degree weather, and you know, you got all the sweat and everything, and it's a little bit tougher to, you know, get a couple breathers in and, you know, gather yourself before you know, line up for that next play. So yeah, no, I'm 1,000% with you. I'm right there in the blizzard. But go ahead, Ben.
One last thing I would like to add to that, though, and I don't know if Ryan would agree with me, but I'm pretty sure Coach Tyler would agree with me. Mud games are the best. I mean, mud games are so fun to play in.
I agree.
I've never played in a mud game, unfortunately. Probably never will. It's unfortunate. I've seen them. I've seen pictures. My uncle played for Wheeler before I went there. It's crazy how things happen like that. But you know, being able to see all the muddy uniforms and, you know, something that was once pure white was now, you know, covered in dirt and, you know, all this slush. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and go into the weekly news. Titans running back Derrick Henry plans to make his return at full go this Saturday versus Cincinnati. The 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo is expected to play through a shoulder and thumb injury against Green Bay on Saturday. And then Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield underwent successful shoulder surgery, and says, "This is not the end of my story." Ben and I had a conversation on
the
Twitter.
Browns.
No, see, here's my thing. And Coach Tyler, I'm gonna let you have your piece here in a second. But I'm a Baker believer, man. Like, he will come back after, you know, he's had a rough year, but he was also playing through injuries and everything. And, you know, I think he will come back next year, have a better season, you know, than last year, which shouldn't be very hard to beat. But I'm not saying he's going to go all pro. I'm not going to say, you know, Pro Bowl candidate. I'm not saying Browns are going to the Super Bowl because of Baker Mayfield, but I will say Baker Mayfield will have a comeback year, and Browns fans are going to eat their words.
I mean, I'll give it to Baker. He has like the intangibles, like he has the leadership, like he knows how to rally his guys. But it's just been too many times this year that, I mean, he has clearly like zeroed in on one guy before the snap even happened. And I mean, Baker played so bad this year that, I mean, he convinced NFL media that OBJ was bad. I mean, Baker's just, I don't see it. He's inaccurate and he's can't read the field well at all.
As much as I would like to believe something like that, that would also mean, you know, for me and Coach Tyler, our Bears quarterback Justin Fields would be, you know, not that good, considering he, you know, had a great downfield open option to Allen Robinson. Sorry. But the play's not designed to go to him. I think, you know, after looking at it last night, there are certain situations in which, yes, Odell can be a good option. And, you know, looking at the film or whatever, like, yes, by all means, he should be getting the ball, right? But you can also look at it as Odell Beckham Jr. is a great wide receiver, and he can also draw coverages to certain sides to where you can get other wide receivers open. I don't know. Let's hear from the defensive coordinator here. What do you have to say about Baker?
The reason why the Browns weren't good is because they didn't utilize their number one weapon in Nick Chubb. I mean, throw the ball as much as you want. Let's look at the college ranks real quick. Lincoln Riley is so successful because you throw all over. These passing offenses in the NFL are so great. Well, why are these heavy running teams better? I mean, the Titans are a simple, boring offense. Now it so happens you have a mammoth of a man back there. Tannehill isn't an elite quarterback. He's an okay quarterback. He has an elite wide receiver, an elite running back, but your play action game, football will never change in that. You run the football. Browns need to run the football. You're putting Baker in this situation to be the hero. I think he has solid weapons. The right side of his offensive line isn't great. His left is solid. Your defense, in my opinion, will be super elite when they gel together, when they get that point. It's just Cleveland Brown fans finally have hype and they get all in their heads, which, hey, no big deal. All fans do it plenty of times myself. God forbid Purdue wins one football game. I think they're going to the national championship. So, you look at Johnny Manziel, did nothing for that team. Look at Brady Quinn, the golden boy of Notre Dame, nothing. Brandon Whedon threw all over the yard in Oklahoma State, nothing at Cleveland. For a team, as a Bears fan that's never had a quarterback, I would take Baker in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? I'm, Justin Fields, wish him the best. I hope he does great as a Bears fan, the big problem's already gone, so he'll be better. At least let's hope. But
absolutely.
But Baker will be fine. He'll be a lot better next year.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. And my main problem with Baker is, like you said, you compared him to, the run offense of the Titans and how Ryan Tannehill is an average quarterback. Baker's going to come out next year and he's going to either want his fifth year or he's going to want, what the big dogs are making. And he's not playing, again, legal situation aside, he's not playing as well as somebody like Deshaun Watson is, and he's going to make the same amount of money as somebody like Deshaun.
Yes, I agree with that. But here's the thing. Baker, it's Cleveland, Ohio. Okay? It is terrible. It's nothing to do in Ohio. It sucks. But Cleveland's going to pay Baker. What are you going to do? Go draft another quarterback? Go sign a free agent when you have a guy that's, one, a winning quarterback, two, brought life to your city. Baker is just that guy, and he will be that guy for Cleveland for as long as Cleveland doesn't buy into all that media. He will be that guy, and you trust him. And I trust Baker Mayfield to lead that team to the playoffs, and then you ride and die with Nick Chubb and that defense.
I'm right there with you. And last podcast, the last episode that me and Ben had, Ben said if the Browns were to get Deshaun Watson, if they were to get rid of Baker and get Deshaun Watson in a deal, I think it would be a blockbuster. I think Cleveland would be extremely excited about that. And, obviously I think that Deshaun Watson is a big upgrade given, the potential in that scenario that he settles all of his lawsuits and everything. I don't think a trade will be going down without that. But, in that scenario that Deshaun Watson is able to play football again, yes, it will be an upgrade. But as for Coach Tyler, you made a great point as far as do you start over if it's not Baker, and for that, I mean, a lot of people are turning on him, and I'm very disappointed for that, because the second that you get rid of Baker, you're that mediocre team that's just right there at the bottom every single year without that quarterback, just like they were right before they got Baker and they got the new offense and everything, right? You can have this stud running back duo, and but that, for me, that can only get you so far. The quarterback needs to run the offense and everything. And if they don't have Baker, if they start over with a new rookie, or, let's say, for an example, just to throw it out there, Mitch Trubisky goes to Cleveland and they think he's the savior of Cleveland, right? That's not the guy. And I think Baker has that in his heart. I think that, in his game and who he is and everything, I think that he is, one of those win with quarterbacks that we talked about last episode. But he's not a win because of type of deal.
Well, and again, that's what I'm saying. Like, keep Baker if you can have a better option, but do you want to pay Baker $30 million a year? Because I sure as hell don't. And again, you trade for a guy to like Deshaun. I mean, you're instantly Super Bowl contenders. Again, like Coach Tyler said, and like I said last episode, an amazing defense, an amazing run game. I don't know. I don't see why you wouldn't trade for a guy like Deshaun Watson if you're going to be paying a quarterback $30 million anyways.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry. We're Bears fans. Me and Brian are. Teams like to get so happy, fresh start, blah, blah, blah. Let's get that new quarterback. Mitch Trubisky obviously had Matt Nagy. Okay. Go give him with Kyle Shanahan. Go give him Sean McVay. Mitch Trubisky's career is on a different path. There's a reason why Mitch got drafted second overall. Deshaun had problems. Okay. He turned over the ball in Clemson. Patrick Mahomes wasn't part of winning football teams and turn over the ball. So when it comes down to it, Mitch Trubisky doing what he did in that year with North Carolina and the athleticism, they put him in a bubble to try to be Patrick Mahomes. That's not what happens. You don't do that. You can't take someone to be someone else. People get so hyped about this, the back throws, these big arms, these cannons. It's a mentality thing. The Bears stuck with Rex Grossman, who was drafted in 2002 from Florida, I believe. At least in 2002, I believe. The dude took the Bears to the Super Bowl. Okay. People like to sit here and they Bears fans like, well, no, that was Kyle Orton. No, 2005, Kyle Orton was the quarterback that led to the playoffs when Rex got hurt. Rex in 2006 was the starter. Now he threw 25 touchdowns, 24 picks. But as a champion, Cleveland has a championship defense. That Bears team championship defense. Cleveland has a championship running back. The Bears had a championship running back duo. It's correlation. Now what is it? Who's better, Rex or Baker? It's Baker 100 times over.
Rex is my dad's favorite quarterback from that team. Well, I mean, from the Bears, or in recent history, and I'm right there with you. I mean, obviously, my family is going to be a little bit biased, and with me not being old enough to really remember much of Rex Grossman's,
he's
play.
Terrible.
I mean, I think Baker Mayfield has more of a potential than people have to give him. And your Mitch Trubisky take as well, as far as, him going somewhere and, getting another coach. I mean, there have been reports where he had shut down, Matt Nagy's offense, to where it's like, hey, this isn't working. Like, and Matt Nagy would reply with, hey, don't worry about it. Like, it can all come together during the season and everything. And obviously it didn't. And that's why it didn't work out. And that's why Matt Nagy didn't want him as his quarterback, because Mitch was somebody that actually tried to shut his ego down. At the end of the day, Matt Nagy was the problem. Now you have Mitch Trubisky doing an incredibly smart move that I knew from the jump wasn't a crazy smart move. He went to the Bills to go and work with Ken Dorsey, their quarterback coach. And if you look at it, him and Brian Dabble work together really well. And to see what they've done with Josh Allen over the past few years and his accuracy and what he's done and his progressed his progress. Wow, can't talk. From his rookie year through, where we're at right now, he went from a bottom tier quarterback to what I would consider elite in just a couple seasons. And now if you look at Mitch Trubisky and give him that opportunity, such as, what I think could be a really good situation for him would be Pittsburgh to go and work with Mike Tomlin and see what he can do with that offense. Or like you said, and I don't think the 49ers would take him, but, a Kyle Shanahan would be a good option as well. Somebody that would complement his skill set better than Matt Nagy did, which not very hard to do, could get that quarterback and that team to where they want to be.
So Ryan, what I'm hearing is if the Bears sign Brian Leftwich as their head coach, you want Mitch back?
I'll tell you this. I'm sold on Justin Fields. I think he's shown a lot of potential, and I definitely think because I've entertained this thought. I definitely think that Fields has a lot of potential, and I'm excited to see what he can do. But I definitely think if there's any way that Chicago can bring back Trubisky as a backup, just in case Fields has gotten injured, if you look at his his last year at Ohio State, and then this past year in Chicago, he's shown that he can get injured. He can make some pretty dumb mistakes and get himself hit and hurt, but Mitch Trubisky is going to be a pretty solid quarterback no matter where he goes. And if it's at backup, if it's a starter, I'll take it. Not over Justin Fields, though. I'll tell you that. I'm very sold on him.
Yeah. And right before we move on, because we should probably get going because we got a lot more stuff to talk about. Coach Tyler, who do you want to see as the Bears' new head coach? Don't say Jim Harbaugh.
It's potential.
Jim Harbaugh is not going to Chicago.
He's not going to the NFL.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Me and my head coach talked about it today. There's a lot of factors that go in it that only one person knows what they're doing, and that's Jim Harbaugh. You can't. It's actually one of my hot takes, by the way. There's two people I want, and it's no one you said in your guys' first episode.
Oh boy.
Actually, I actually hated most of everyone you guys said in your first episode. To put you guys on blast. And my friends hate me for saying this, but there's only one person that appreciated the idea, and that's my head coach, who's an absolute genius at football. Bill O'Brien. Okay. And the first thing people say, yeah, I see your guys' faces right now. Here's what you guys have to understand. Bill O'Brien had a winning record in Houston to an elite defense in a 3-4 that went to the playoffs. Did they win? No, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Everyone talks about his GM. He did terrible as a GM. He's not a GM. He's a head football coach. The dude went 52-48. Okay. He won at a spot that hasn't won in so long and will never win because they're trying to emulate the success of a man that they fired as the GM. Bill O'Brien went to Alabama. He's the offensive coordinator at Alabama. Bryce Young lit it up this year, went to a national championship. This dude, I think Bill O'Brien would be a pick that everyone hates, as I saw your guys' face. And that's okay. I get it. As a football coach and a football mind, I just want to – Bill O'Brien's the guy. I think he'd be I think that's a good one. The other one is Matt Eberflus. I don't know how to say his last name. Wouldn't be able to tell you. Defense coordinator from the Colts, just because I hate the 3-4 defense. And, let's go back to a 4-3. And Colts defense is amazing. So I think that dude would be phenomenal.
So you brought up the idea of having him, one of the points that you made was because he had a winning record and a franchise that wasn't in a winning direction. And so with that, I'd have to ask the question, do you entertain the idea of bringing Jim Caldwell in as a coach?
problem with Jim Caldwell is that he never had an identity. Coaches, when you see head coaches fail, it's because they never had an identity. And even if they had success, that's in the fact of, they could have been super talented or, and you just got by that, which a lot of coaches do. But you have to have an identity. Unfortunately, when you come to a place like Chicago, the identity is already set. It's the monsters of the Midway. The Chicago's been the bystanders of the Midway, letting everyone just drive on through and score how many points they want. That's Chicago now. The monsters haven't been there since 2012. And that was the last year that I think they were the true monsters in the Midway. You have to establish identity. Bill O'Brien established a mean, nasty aggression at Houston. Brian Cushing, J.J. Watt, Jadeveon Clowney. I mean, the three big headliners, which obviously everyone knows two of.
Yeah.
JJ's a Hall of Famer. Jadeveon was a first-round pick. First overall, big hit in the Outback Bowl. Brian Cushing, though, led that whole team. That's a dude that's going to go fight. I mean, a picture famous is him headbutting someone, and he's got blood running down his whole face.
Yeah.
Bill O'Brien set that tone. That's what he wanted. You hear Bill O'Brien talk, he's punching in your mouth, all in there. And he might be an offensive guy, but he has a tone. He has an identity as that hard physical guy to win.
Yeah, no, that's wow. Yeah, great answer to the question. With that and with that, we're gonna go into week 20's Pigskin Pick'em. So for these matchups, we have the Bengals at Tennessee. We have the Buffalo Bills taking on the Chiefs at Arrowhead. We have the Rams taking on the Buccaneers in Tampa. And then we have the 49ers taking on the Packers at Lambeau. So Ben, what do you have here?
Do you want me to go through all of them, or we want to touch each team individually or each matchup?
Let's do a brief little preview on our own and kind of explain our picks as for, why don't you start off with the Bengals and Titans?
As much as I want the Bengals to win because they're a cute like Cinderella story, I mean, there's going to be so much juice in that Titans locker room because Derrick Henry's back, and if he, continues to play how he did at the beginning of the season, I can't see the Titans losing this game.
All right, Coach Tyler, what you got for us?
I mean, my whole thing was be different from probably everyone. I'm going Cincy.
Wow.
I mean, Derrick Henry, is he what he is? Is he what he is from this beginning of the year?
Yeah.
I do know you can't cover Jamar Chase.
Okay.
You can't stop Joe Burrow from shooting the guns. I mean,
no, you can't.
Good luck. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I think in a high-powered offensive explosion from both sides, Tennessee, they've gotten pretty banged up over the weeks, and I definitely feel like, with this given, the fact that they're the number one team in the AFC, I think that week off helped them kind of gather themselves as far as Derrick Henry coming back, and maybe the wide receivers are on another level now. You never know. I think Tennessee has a chance. I think the Bengals also have a chance, but at the end of the day, it's all about who has the most points, and for that, I think Tennessee is going to come out on top.
If it's an offensive shootout, there's no way the Bengals don't win that because the Bengals have Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon. If it's an offensive shootout, the Bengals are winning.
See, that's what you'd think.
I'm upset. Sorry, Ryan. I'm upset, Ben, that T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd plays in the slot.
Yeah.
I think he's the third leading receiver.
He is.
T. Higgins, man. That should be
right.
T.
Higgins.
I mean, that should be right behind, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins.
Yeah.
You're making pretty strong arguments here, but yeah, no, I'm definitely saying the Titans. I think it's going to be, squeaking out right at the end. Obviously, I mean, it'll come down to the wire for me. I don't think, I think Derrick Henry will score earlier on, but obviously you can't really use much of a, rushing offense late in the game when, it's close. You need a field goal or you need to get in field goal range. And for that, I think Ryan Tannehill and AJ Brown, or, you got Julio Jones too as another option. I think that they'll find a way, and I think they're going to win by just in the closing seconds of the game. They're going to knock out Cincy. But with that, I'm gonna go ahead.
Hold on. I think Coach Tyler has like convinced me to switch this, because if I'm deciding between AJ Brown and Ryan Tannehill versus Joey Burrow and Jamar Chase, I'm taking Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. So I'm gonna go with the Bengals.
See, I would, but here's the thing. And it makes a lot of sense. As much as I would love the Bengals to go on and everything, look, let's keep it short and sweet. That way we can move on. I picked Dallas to go to the Super Bowl, so my bracket's completely obliterated whatsoever. I mean, it doesn't matter. So in this case, you guys are picking the Bengals. I'm picking the Titans just to disagree with you. And then if I win, I get to say like, hey, guess what? I'm the only guy on the podcast that picked them to win. Just saying,
Bills Pats,
whatever. Anyway, so Bills and Chiefs, right? So this one, okay, as much as I would like to say other games have the potential to steal the show, this game's going to be this whole, I mean, it's taking the cake for this week. This one is my matchup of the week. I'm gonna give you guys time to talk about yours while I think about who I gotta pick here. But go ahead. What you guys got?
Coach Tyler, you can go.
All right. Bills. The Bills will dominate. The Bills are going to dominate the Chiefs like they did the Patriots.
I'm the opposite of him. I'm just having the Chiefs. Again, it's such a close game. I'm just picking the better quarterback, and that's no shot at Josh Allen. And I mean, Josh Allen and that Stephon Diggs matchup is amazing, but Patrick Mahomes with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce is just stupid.
The reason why Chiefs lost the Super Bowl is because they couldn't block anyone. Leslie Frazier's defense could be mistaken. Number one, there's might be a couple one or five, top five. Who blocks for the Chiefs?
Well,
Kyle Long.
Okay, wait, whoa. Okay.
I didn't even know Kyle Long could get out of the chair to block someone.
I'm going to disagree with this one. They traded for Orlando Brown at the offseason. He's been playing amazing. Creed Humphrey, the center out of Oklahoma last year, is playing like a top 5 center. He's their center. Trey Smith is their guard, who out of Tennessee.
No, hey, Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith will be phenomenal. Orlando Brown's good. The Chiefs' speed is going to beat everyone. That's great. 30-something-year-old Micah Hyde does what he does. Yeah. Good freaking luck. Tremaine Edmonds, the linebacking core, the D-line, Ed Oliver. I love Ed Oliver, even though if he doesn't put up stellar numbers. It's the Bills are just – they got what they know what they got to do. Leslie Frazier's got them playing hard. This is a great defense. Someone's going to hit you in the mouth. The confidence is riding high. Josh Allen isn't, he's not going to run around and, throw sidearm off his back foot like Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen's going to say, hey, I can't get you. Look at the first touchdown of the game. The dude runs to the sideline, jumps back, and he somehow throws it to Dawson Knox, who everyone wanted to get rid of in Buffalo. It was a crappy tight end, makes a big play. Josh Allen's, he'll extend a few plays, but he's just going to go run and knock you over. I love Nick Bolton. I think that's the best thing. I think that's the best rookie on the Chiefs. That dude is a tackling machine at Missouri.
Yeah.
I mean, they needed it. Unfortunately, I don't think Nick Bolton's going to stop Josh Allen running.
No.
So the way that I'm going to break it down, like I said last game, just keeping it short and sweet. Patrick Mahomes is going to show everybody why I ranked him the way that I did last episode. And with that being said, Buffalo is going to win in my pick. It's you guys could sit back and say like, oh yeah, no, it's because Coach Tyler's given up great information and everything. Honestly, I think this Bills defense, I mean, looking at their performance through week in and week out, I think that they will be able to stop the Chiefs offense. I think they'll be able to slow down Tyreek Hill. They're going to be able to cover Travis Kelce in a way that, it'll stop him from having this massive game. And, Patrick Mahomes, he's going to struggle a little bit more than, he did against Pittsburgh. I think Chiefs are going to come in hot, but at the end of the day, Buffalo, I mean, they've been doing great all year. And because of that, give me Buffalo, AFC Championship. Ben, you're shaking your head at me. Give me your final thoughts, buddy.
Again, my final. I was shaking my head because you were talking about the QB rankings from last week.
Oh,
you had Dak Prescott at 3, so
again,
that turned out to be pretty well for me. But let's move on to the next one.
Yeah. Rams and Buccaneers. Rams and Buccaneers. This one, I'm gonna go ahead and start things off. I don't think this one's gonna be close. I don't. Here's my little hot take of the week. I really don't think the Rams and Buccaneers game, it's not going to come down to, does Tom Brady still have it in the tank? The Rams are a complete football team. They showed that last week against Arizona. They're prepared when they need to be prepared. Arizona, the story for Arizona, in my opinion, for last week was that they were in over their heads. They just weren't mentally there for LA. And I think the Rams are ready to win. They're a win now team. And because of that, in all of Tampa's injuries and everything, Tampa's not playing a Philadelphia, Ben. They're playing the LA Rams, and the LA Rams are going to the NFC Championship.
I have the Rams too, but again, like the thing that you really need to watch out for is the pressure, because they did very well giving Matt Stafford as clean of the pocket as he could, but that Rams defense is significant. I don't want to say significantly better, but is better than that Arizona Cardinals defense. And I'm sure Coach Tyler knows all about this. They're blitzing linebackers. It's going to be hard to stop guys like Devin White and Levante Davis.
Coach Tyler,
but I do have the Rams winning. Just a matter of, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you got a 350-pound, mammoth from the island of Hawaii,
yeah.
I mean, the dude's a freak. Vita Vea.
Vita Vea is.
Oh, hey, that's great. They can stop the run. Good thing the Rams don't run.
Yeah.
I mean, I had an argument this week. The hardest thing to do in sports is to hit a baseball. The science is there, blah, blah, blah. Well, the hardest thing to do in sports is to cover Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
So good luck. Yeah, the Buccaneers don't have that. Something that the Buccaneers are good at hiding are their corners. Antoine Winfield's an elite safety. Wish he was on Chicago, but we drafted a bum tight end from Notre Dame. Trust me. It's awful. But the pressure is great. The reason why I hate pressure is you can beat it. When your corners are your weak point in your team, you just need JPP and Shaq Barrett to play lights out. Which they always do.
Yeah.
But Cooper Kupp, Okay, you have no one that can cover him. Tyler Higbee's stellar. OBJ, okay, maybe you might be able to cover him. Van Jefferson, Sony Michel out of the backfield, Cam Akers out of the backfield. It's Matthew Stafford, who is probably the most underrated quarterback of all time. Yeah, I like the Rams. I think Rams.
We all agree with the Rams.
All right.
What were you saying?
With that being said, we're gonna move on to the last matchup of the week in the divisional round, being the 49ers and Packers. And now my thing with this one, and I'm sure Coach Tyler can agree with this too. We're both very biased as far as, the Packers go. We want to see them lose. They're a very good football team, whether we like it or not. If we want to cover NFL teams, we have to be as unbiased as possible. And, because of that, I do have to talk about the good things that happen with the Packers. And, for me, as much as I would love to say the 49ers have the potential, and they do, I think, last week showed that they can come up and they can put up a fight against the teams that, are at the top. But as far as the Packers go, I really do think that, you're playing at Lambeau in one of the coldest games of the year, in a snowstorm. That's Green Bay Packer weather, or bear football, as me and Coach Tyler like to say it. And, up north where you have this constantly and everything, it's a lot different than sunny San Francisco. And I'm not going to say that that's going to be the only factor in it, but, when you have Aaron Rodgers on the other side of the ball, it's no Dak Prescott. And Ben, we agreed Aaron Rodgers is the number 1 ranked quarterback in our rankings last week. I'm sure he still is in our rankings if we were to do them this week. So with that being said, Aaron Rodgers is going to the NFC Championship. And I'll add a little tidbit when you guys are done here. But Ben, what you got?
This one was honestly just the hardest game for me to pick, just because the Niners are really riding that momentum. And the Niners, again, let's go back to linebackers. The Niners have 2 really good linebackers in Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner. So their linebackers are great. Nick Bosa is a monster. So this was harder for me to pick. If you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said by far and away the Packers. Jimmy's playing better than what I thought, but I'm still just going to go with the Packers. It's a safe pick.
Right. Coach Tyler?
Safe picks aren't fun. I'm going to the 49ers. It's a hot take. 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl and then trade their quarterback 3 weeks later.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm going to be straight up honest with you guys. Kyle Shanahan isn't, it's going to realize, you said it, Jimmy G's an injury, he's got injuries he's going through. Going to realize he can't throw it downfield. Trey Lance is going to go out there, who I think was the best quarterback in the draft. And that's just, obviously, let's take Trevor Lawrence out. Okay. I love Trevor. He is obviously the best. And I think by far he'll end up being the best. But Trey Lance is the dude. He adds a dimension, and I think the 49ers are going to be even better next year. It's hard to pick against Aaron Rodgers, but that's it. It's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Okay. It's Aaron Rodgers and someone that can cover Devontae Adams. The 49ers have that. Eric Armstead, Nick Bosa. It's a stellar team. Dre Greenlaw. I believe Fred Warner tore his ACL, unfortunately.
Right.
I didn't see that.
But the safeties, Jaworski Tart, Jimmy Ward, your corner, they have solid corners. The 49ers defense is stellar. And their offense it's boring. But boring wins.
Right.
You want to sit here and you want to see 50 points a game. You want to see your 4,000, 5,000 yard passers. If that was the case, the Saints would win the Super Bowl every year. when Drew Brees was there. But that's not what wins. Okay. Defense always wins championships. Don't care what anyone says. You can prove to me here and there, Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. No. Buccaneers won off of defense last year. It's the reason why Antoine Winfield, as a rookie, gave Tyreek Hill his own peace sign. Right? You're a stellar defense if you do that. The reason why this high-flying Cowboy offense, it isn't no Cowboy curse. The reason why they didn't win is because you're getting smacked in the face by Eric Armstead, the Jones guy, number 93, whoever his name is, Nick Bosa, who Nick Bosa is a star.
Yeah.
And Dre Greenlaw from Arkansas, like, who's that guy? I mean, it's the great coaching. You know, Robert Saleh did a great job in his time. Now he's with the Jets. It's the 49ers. I think cold weather or not, they might be in sunny California, dude, but they're going to step up there in Green Bay, and then they're going to do something that's going to beat Green Bay, and it's going to get people thinking, well, crap, San Francisco is going to do their thing. You know, Elijah Mitchell's a stellar running back. Kyle Juszczyk's best fullback, probably the only fullback in the NFL, but when you're the best at something, you're still the best.
I'm right there. Let me make a quick point really quick, Ben. You know, as far as pressuring Aaron Rodgers goes, and, you know, you brought up Trevor Lawrence as well. Aaron Rodgers under pressure averages 4.7 yards per attempt, which ranks 31st in the NFL this season, which is only ahead of one quarterback, which is Trevor Lawrence. If they can get that done, I can see this happening. You know, you never know. If you step on Aaron Rodgers' toe, you might go down and have to have surgery, and then Jordan Love's in. You never know. Is it hopeful thinking, or is it a bold take from us Bears fans? You never know.
Oh, just before Ben, sorry, Ben. You say pressure. You know, pressure is, you know, why teams can design all these pressures. That's great. The more people you send, the less that cover.
Right.
The 49ers can do it without sending anyone. That's how you win football games. If I send 4, right, and I would rather, you know, not saying I'm sitting here the best DC in ever here, but I've only had 1 year. I could suck for the rest of my career for all I know. I rarely blitzed, okay? And high school is a lot different from the NFL, but think of the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. How many times they really blitz? You're not counting, you know, Shaq and JPP running off the edge. You know, they're rushing. Okay, their defensive ends are not linebackers. How many times do they really blitz? You know, if you go back and watch that, you know, prove me wrong. But they rushed 4, and they got there. So with the occasional Devin White got in there, the occasional here, but the 49ers don't need to do that. They have all the dudes that beat one-on-one. The Packers are old on the offensive line. They're not that good. Just Aaron Rodgers makes everyone look good, and that's why he's a Hall of Famer. But, you know.
Ben, what you got?
And the one thing that you're talking about, Elijah Mitchell, you can't talk about this 49ers rushing offense without talking about Deebo Samuel. But Deebo Samuel, he's just such a weapon on the ground. And I mean, even if he's in the backfield and you know what's happening, Deebo Samuel, I mean, took it to the house last week. Deebo Samuel is just such a threat on the ground. And Coach Tyler mentioned Trey Lance. The only reason Trey Lance wasn't the second quarterback taken off the board last year is because he only played 1 game in college, or 1 game last year in college.
Yeah.
So I agree with the Trey Lance thing. Yeah.
All right, guys, with that being said, you know, I think the 2 greatest college football minds that I know should bash their brains together. Okay. For Ben's college corner, gentlemen, I'm going to let you guys take the mic. I'm going to sit back and relax and, you know, maybe make some popcorn because it's about to go down.
The two things I want to talk about college, because again, we have all off season talk about the draft and the combine and the Senior Bowl. Senior Bowl being one of the things I want to touch on real quick, but also just want to bash on a specific player for Purdue. But real quick with the Senior Bowl, I'm super excited to watch the Senior Bowl. I think it's 2 weeks away now, just because of quarterbacks that are in that. I mean, this 5 of the top 6 quarterbacks are in the Senior Bowl with Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, Malik Willis, Carson Strong, and Sam Howell.
I mean, the Senior Bowl, I can't wait for. It's going to be awesome. All your quarterbacks you just mentioned, though, it's a weak quarterback class.
Yeah.
It's not good. Desmond Ridder, I think, is one of the worst. And it's not because, he's from Cincinnati, blah, blah, blah. He's just – Cincinnati didn't win. They didn't beat Alabama because Desmond, it's actually – I think it's because of Desmond Ridder, That Cincinnati defense did its thing. Desmond Ridder is not good. Sam Howell's the best quarterback in the draft. Okay, hold on now. I don't want to mess this up. Sam Howell, is the second best quarterback in the draft because Matt Corral is the best quarterback. Matt Corral is the best quarterback in the draft. And it's because he has all this great arm talent. He can run. He can do all this. Sam Howell can do all that. It's just people are going to think Mitch Trubisky, blah, blah, blah. Well, Sam Howell has way better everything than Mitch Trubisky: accuracy, arm strength, running. Just Matt Corral. You're getting dude that coach with who was with Lane Kiffin, and just what he said. Now it's funny what he said because he ended up getting hurt, and that's not the funny part, but just how that dude backs his people up. I'm going with him. That's my dude. Let me ride and die and take my chance with Matt Corral.
I completely agree. Matt Corral has been my guy, all year. Even when Spencer Rattler and Sam Howell were the top quarterbacks in this draft class before the season, Matt Corral has always been my guy. His intangibles are there, like you were saying, and he just says everything. And again, why? I just said his name. Cincinnati's quarterback. I just said his name. I don't know why I'm blanking. Desmond Ridder. I don't see it. And I like Kenny Pickett as well. I'm just not on high as Kenny Pickett because his upside isn't there, but he is the most pro-ready quarterback. But I just don't see the upside. And Malik Willis is such a fun prospect to watch because he has everything. It's just he definitely needs to go to the right coaching staff.
When you draft so people are going to make arguments about Power 5 players and anyone lower, which is great. A few names for you: Bailey Zappi from Western Kentucky. You didn't hear anything from him. They do put up Joe Burrow numbers, actually more. But he plays for Western Kentucky. What can he do? Well, Malik Willis, when it goes, you put it with him, and Hugh Freeze is a great coach. It's hard to go for those guys that aren't in Power 5, future NFL players. Trey Lance is different. Okay, that one game that he struggled. He also went undefeated and threw no interceptions in going on to a national championship the year before. Big, strong, physical. He's a freak. I know you're an Eagles fan. You hate Carson Wentz, but there's a reason why Carson went number 2 or whatever he went. The dude did his thing. He dominated at North Dakota State. It's our FCS powerhouse. These guys that don't play Power 5, it's hard to give them shots. But it's just also that there's no one worth it in this draft to risk it. Malik Willis, say the football team get Malik Willis, you're basically getting RG3 again. You're basically getting Dwayne Haskins again. 2 Power 5 quarterbacks, but what are you really going to do with it? That's my thing. And, athlete is what you want at quarterback nowadays. And I hope Malik Willis does it, but It's the reason why Malik Willis didn't do so hot this year. It's because teams figured it out.
Yeah. And I mean, my big concern, and obviously is such a difference between college and the NFL, but my hesitancy on Malik Willis is that he had to transfer out of the Power 5 school and he lost his job to Bo Nix. I mean, I don't like Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix is overrated. And again, that's just a concerning thing to me is he transferred out of the Power 5 and lost to, I would say, a below average quarterback.
I mean, I think Bo Nix is a star, and that's just it's just what it is. Bo Nix going to Oregon, I think he's gonna show off everything he can, and hope he does great. It's hard to go that when you transfer out of the Power 5. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it, and I understand, your take on it, transferring out, but it benefits you in the same way because you can show your talent. If you go in and dominate someone, yeah, let me go get that Power 5. Let me get that FCS level guy because the transfer portal is this big thing nowadays. That's all people like to go to, transfer portal, where all they're going is the FCS schools.
Yeah.
It's rare to see someone move on. Dre Sanders is a 5-star linebacker that transferred out of Alabama to go to Arkansas. One of those rare, occasions that a Power 5 went to another Power 5.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say that. I don't know. Malik Willis, I just don't think is that guy. So
No. I think the thing with Malik Willis is he has to go to the right coaching staff because he has everything, he has all the tools. So if he ends up falling to, suppose, a team like the Steelers, which I think is a god-awful idea, I think the Steelers just need to take a quarterback that's pro-ready. But if he can fall to a team that knows how to develop a guy, I think he'll do fine. But if he goes to a team like the Washington football team, I can't see him being too good of a quarterback.
I'll take him I'll take Malik Willis in the 3rd and 4th round. That's what it is. I'll take him in the 3rd or 4th round all the time. Because, not saying he's not a 1st-round quarterback, but offense sucks in this draft.
Yeah.
You have individually great players in this offensive guys. But, damn near 1 through 32 should be all defensive picks in the 1st round. That's how great this defensive class is. People don't understand it. Like the Jags, unfortunately, are going to probably go draft Evan Neal, as they should, because he's a freak. The Lions then get Aiden Hutchinson, dog. I don't think Kayvon Thibodeau's worth anything. He likes to get hurt. So what? You talk about George Karlaftis has one move. Well, Kayvon Thibodeau can't stay on the field long enough to show the moves.
Yeah. And this is a great transition to the next thing. Again, I still think George Karlaftis is a top 20 talent. I just don't see the hype for him. Again, like you were saying off air, he has great leadership. As a guy who can only bull rush, he has a good motor, but as a guy who can only bull rush, I don't want to take that in the 1st round. He has a great floor, but his ceiling just is not a top 10 pass rusher. And that's, I'm not 10.
Well, there's intangibles that, like, there's a lot of stuff than just pass rushing moves to get there, to be a an elite pass rusher. Comparing Ryan Kerrigan, dude had his double-digit sacks at Purdue. Well, how's he going to do? He was a down lineman. How's he going to do? Well, the dude produced a phenomenal career and had multiple sacks in the playoff game with the Eagles.
Yeah.
So it's Purdue. Purdue's not known for this, but everyone that comes out of Purdue is a solid player. And it's funny because put me on the spot. My friends do it all the time. Name someone good in the NFL from Purdue.
Drew Brees.
Yeah. Okay. That's the obvious choice. But Ryan Kerrigan. Oh, well, Ryan Kerrigan isn't good. Oh, 90 career sacks say otherwise. Kawan Short, the one of the key pieces in Carolina Panthers Super Bowl run and that amazing defense. Jawan Bentley's the middle linebacker for the New England Patriots, who is a dog. And an old linebacking crew, he's the youngster. Ricardo Allen was a key piece in that Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl defense. I mean, there's pieces. Marcus Bailey played great for Cincinnati. He's an excellent special teamer, and he can easily be in that starting linebacking core. Derrick Barnes is one of the most hyped players on the Detroit Lions, a 4th-round pick. Dan Campbell loves him. He'll probably call the defense next year for Detroit. But who would have thought that? Raheem Mostert was an undrafted running back out of Purdue, and in the 49ers Super Bowl run, dude takes it to, he just lights out. So, actually, if you draft Purdue players, you're almost guaranteed success.
They just produce.
They do. They just do their thing. George might, and you say he only has a bull rush move because he could do that. Why do something that it's not going to work? IU, he bull rushed a tackle into a running back. Did he get the sack? No. Guess who did? Branson Dean. Beat IU 44-7. You go after. George just shows everything. In the run defense, he smacks the crap out of people. He does great. He flies off the edge. He's a big body guy. You want to stand him up? Boom, stand him up. You want him to put his hand in the dirt in a 4-3 defense or a nickel package? Boom, get after it. You want to move him down in a 4-point stance inside within the tackles and guards? Boom, he's going to do that. Aiden Hutchinson can only stand up, put his hand in the dirt. Kevon Thibodeau, to me, is only going to be successful standing up because he's just not that guy. Even though I think Aiden's the best, it's just George has everything. And he might have only showed a bull rush, but he made so many people better on Purdue's defense. And whoever gets him is probably going to get one of the hardest working people in this draft. And that's the reason why he gets high grades, because high pressures. The dude, as a freshman, I think was top. I think he was actually the #1 freshman in pressures until Kevon Thibodeau passed him in the bowl game. It's impressive, but he had 4.5 sacks this year. I don't even think he had 10 career sacks.
Yeah, and again, his floor is so high, and that going into him, and he's just not going to bust, and that's good because you don't want your 1st-round picks to bust. But the other Purdue player I wanted to talk to you about was David Bell. If he falls
from the draft,
future Bear, baby. That's what I'm saying.
If he falls to
49, future Bear.
If he falls to 49, it would be an amazing. But I disagree with that. I think Jamison Williams was better before his tore his ACL. I'm not as high on Chris Olave. Do you have Garrett Wilson? My favorite is Drake London. Drake London's a beast. He won Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year, missing the last 4 games. That's how good he was. But
the Pac-12 sucks.
That's true.
Right? You just don't draft people from the Pac-12. Yeah. I hate to say it. I tell my friends all the time when they ask me, I just say, you avoid the Pac-12.
Yeah.
They're bogus. You get the few rare occasions. No, you just ignore them. It sucks. But you say David isn't the best. David Bell, route running. So he does. So you only say Jamison Williams. I'm going to tell you what your thought process is. You can tell me I'm wrong or I'm not. Okay. Ever since I started saying that, no one's proved me wrong. Jamison Williams is only everyone's hype because of his speed. Because that's what's taking over the NFL. Speed. That's great. Love it. Beats a lot of things. What happens if he faces Denzel Ward? Marshawn Lattimore, 2 of the fastest corners in the NFL. Well, now your speed. How are you going to win those contested catches? Drake London, everyone only likes him so much because he's 6'4".
Well, his yak was crazy. When he was playing, he had one of the highest, or if you guys don't know what yak is, it's yards after the catch. But when he was playing, his yards after the catch, and that was the thing that really pushed it over the edge for me, was when he was playing, his yards after the catch was crazy. He had a hurdle, I think it was against UCLA, and it was, you don't see that out of a 6'4" guy.
unfortunately, I get it, but he's just not.
He's from Pac-12.
He's just not any. I mean, you know, I don't think he played against Jalen Johnson, which I know about being a Bears, who's an amazing corner. He ain't doing nothing against Jalen Johnson. That it's just what it is. It's a big physical corner. He's able to bully some of those smaller guys and those Pac-12 guys. Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, cool, go and do your thing. They're at Ohio State. You're facing Purdue. No wonder you're do great. Big Ten is the best conference in football from top to bottom. Okay. Fortunately, their top isn't better than the SEC. So the SEC's top 2 is the best in college football. As a conference from top to bottom, it's the Big Ten. The Big Ten, the bottom Big Ten team can go beat anyone in the conference.
Purdue showed that.
You upset Iowa and Michigan State. Michigan State beat Michigan. David Bell leads the Power 5 in contested catches. He does his thing. He's big-bodied, 6'2", 205. He might not be blazing speed, but when he can't win, he's going to win technically in his thing. So David Bell to me is just the best.
He's so complete. And then the one last thing I wanted to ask you before we move on. I keep it going north between Nakobe Dean and Devin Lloyd. I like both of them. I think both of them deserve to go in the top 20. Both definitely unique, different play styles. And it's hard for me to decide who's my linebacker one in this class. Who do you like better?
Well, whoever it is, you're going to go and the Eagles are drafting. So,
yeah.
Listen, I look very hard at the linebackers. It's my position. It's what I coach. I take pride in it. Everywhere I've coached, the number one, you can tell me I'm wrong, but our best players on those Wheeler defenses was Max Mortimer. I hate to drop his name, sorry, but the Wheeler linebackers to me were always the best. That's where I'm at now. My linebackers were the best. Nakobe Dean is number 1, Channing Tindall is number 2, Devin Lloyd is number 3. If you want me to just bust it out, you want a dark horse, Chad Muma from Wyoming. The Montana State linebacker that I can't think of is a freak of nature. He can play inside or outside. It's just Nakobe Dean is a smaller, compact version of Roquan Smith. It's just, to me, Roquan Smith is the best linebacker in the NFL. That's me also being biased and being true to the position. Biased because he's a Bear. True to the position because he does so much that people don't take for granted. Or they take for granted. Darius Leonard gets turnovers, blah, blah, blah. Roquan's the most disrespected guy in the NFL. But Nakobe Dean is a freak. I love Nakobe Dean. Channing Tindall is a freak. Just so happens they're 2 national champions. But Devin Lloyd is 6'3", 6'4", whatever freaky height he is. Devin Lloyd, he's a great run stuffer. It's just I'm taking Georgia over SEC over a Pac-12.
Yeah, and one last thing before we move on, I completely agree. I love Chad Muma. The only reason he's not getting the hype he's getting is because he goes to freaking Wyoming. It's sad, but he's a great linebacker.
It's just nothing you can do. It's it's just people. It's hard to say, let me take Devin Lloyd over Nakobe Dean just because Devin Lloyd can, maybe cover a little bit better. But Georgia runs, man. Nakobe Dean and if a scout had to ask me to, hey, why choose Nakobe Dean like you just asked me? Turn on the tape of him going across the entire field to go make a tackle on Blake Corum for a 1 to 2 yard loss.
Yeah.
Now, go and do it. You ain't gonna, Channing Tindall, his highlighting moment is getting screamed at by Nakobe Dean to then make it back the very next play.
Yeah.
Devin Lloyd's highlight play, he was lights out in the Rose Bowl. He was lights out most of the all year, but it's his Pac-12 championship game against Oregon. And he was overall great, but his overall great doesn't match those two individualized plays by those two linebackers.
Yeah. And I feel like the only reason, again, I love Devin Lloyd, but it is a copycat league, and Devin Lloyd can rush the passer really well. And I'm seeing these comparisons between him and Micah Parsons, and I just feel like that's god awful because Micah Parsons is a freak. But
it's, again, the NFL changes. It's linebacker. You had to be 6'4", 6'3", 250. You had to be a thumper. It's not what happens anymore. London Fletcher should be a Hall of Famer. He was 5'10". Roquan Smith is 6 foot. Most underrated, most disrespected linebacker in the NFL. Kobe Dean, 6 foot. Okay, obviously Channing Tindall's bigger, but Nakobe Dean is, Roquan had to learn real quick how to stop the run and make the TFLs. He got bigger, he's gotten stronger, and never lost his speed. And he's one of the best cover linebackers. Nakobe Dean has that body type that he can already stop the run. Now he just has to get a little bit better in the pass coverage. But if I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, I'm going to go get Nakobe Dean to lead and call my defense, because Alex Singleton, say what you want. I'm not trying to talk crap. He's an NFL player. I'm just a high school football coach. But Nakobe Dean is the guy that will go under the radar. Even if you have a bad year, he does great. You're going to sign him to 10 to 15. He's going to be a 10 to 12 year guy, and he's going to do his thing and set the tone for an Eagles team that should be, in a crappy division, should be winning it.
Yeah, I completely agree. So again, the only reason
Nakobe Dean,
the only reason Nakobe Dean isn't going top 10 is, like you said, is because he's 6 foot. But let's go on, Ryan.
All right. Thank you guys. That was, like I said, these two, for anybody listening, greatest college football minds that I know personally. Honestly, this is probably going to be our longest podcast so far. But I'm honestly totally okay with that. Coach Tyler, before we get into this last segment, I do want to say thank you for coming on. This is, lots of good discussion. It's finally, it's great to regroup with you after, kind of going separate ways, obviously, for me and Ben to go into college, and then for you to go on to your new coaching job at Calumet. But with that being said, we are going to do probably one of the most fun segments that we have done so far and thought of is we are going to be drafting our own team. So basically, to give a little insight for people that are listening, the goal here is to pretend that you are an expansion team and you're starting fresh. So every player is available. The future. Yeah, this is for the future. This is to build. If you want to win now, win now. But this is who's going to make your team successful at the following positions. And right now, the positions that we're drafting are quarterback, running back. We're going to be picking a couple wide receivers, a tight end. We're going to pick an offensive line from one team, a couple corners, a couple safeties, a middle linebacker, an edge, defensive tackle, and then we will kind of recap whose teams are what when it's all said and done. Now, before this, me and Ben had a conversation about, who should pick first? How are we going to decide this? And obviously, with Coach Tyler being our first guest on the show, he's going to get the first pick in every round. So
we're not snaking it. I thought we were snaking it.
We can snake it. You're gonna we'll snake it then. That would make more sense. Ben, you get to call out who has the pick. But for the second pick, Ben and I know that everybody listening can't see this, but we are going to do rock, paper, scissors for the second and third. Yeah, 2 out of 3. All right. It's on shoot.
Rock, paper, scissors, and then you throw it on shoot.
Yeah. All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. What'd you throw your? Okay.
Scissors.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. That was really slow. Okay, so it's Ben 1, me nothing. Right now we tied the first round. All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay, Ben gets a second pick. Whatever.
Whoa.
It's
Who said I
fine.
wanted second pick? I want the third pick.
You want
We're
the
doing a
third
snake
pick?
draft. We're doing a snake draft.
So does that mean I get the middle in every round? I'm not entirely
Yeah,
familiar
so
with
he's
that.
gonna do so it's gonna go Coach Tyler, you, me, you, Coach Tyler, you,
Oh man.
me.
Okay.
I
All
want
right.
the third pick.
All right. And this doesn't mean you have to pick quarterback or you have to pick running back or whatever first.
Whatever
you get to
order you
pick
want.
whoever you want first off. So Coach Tyler, who's your number 1 overall pick?
Well, first, my whole team's going to be super young, but I'm defense. I need a dude that's going to do his thing. It's Roquan Smith.
You suck.
That dude will lead me through everything. So that's my dude, Roquan Smith.
All right. So that leaves me without my number 1 biased, obviously, but also not biased because he's like you said, the most disrespected middle linebacker in the league. With my number 1 pick, because I'm more of an offensive minded person, even though I played defense, I am going to pick my running back to start with, and I'm going to pick Jonathan Taylor to start off with.
All right, we'll take it. I'm gonna continue doing with Ryan's thought process here. I'm taking the best young quarterback in the league. I'm taking Justin Herbert.
Wow. Okay. All right. And then to start off the second round. Yeah.
See, now is this where I go defense? This is where it gets tricky. Yeah, I'm taking TJ Watt at my edge.
Wow, that was you questioned it. You made me think that you're going to have this big long thought process and everything with it. No, just TJ Watt. Okay.
Yep, defensive player of the year.
All right. So for me, I mean, defensive players are flying off the charts already. And for me, I think I have to pick my edge rusher then and pick what I think is going to be this year's defensive player of the year, and that's going to be Myles Garrett. Coach Tyler?
I can tell you basically all my picks are going to be defense until I get it all settled. I'm going with probably the best corner until I believe and that's Tre'Davious White.
All right.
I know exactly who a lot of people would say right here, but Tre'Davious is a freak, so.
Yeah.
And then it goes Coach Tyler again, right?
It goes back to you. Yeah, we're doing snake.
Oh, biscuits. You gotta lock it down with another corner. I can easily say Jalen Ramsey, but we're gonna go Denzel Ward because I need speed, and that's a lockdown corner, dude.
Oh man. Okay, so
don't you do it, Ryan.
I'm probably not gonna do it, but here's the deal. I'm really, really happy that he didn't pick this because I know Coach Tyler, and as a Bears fan, I really do know how underrated some of our defense is. And I think the most underrated player that, hasn't really gotten that much attention is Jalen Johnson. And he's going to be my first corner off the board, as bold as it is and whatever. And it's really, really early. And I think that there might be some players that I could pick that are better. But just because there are players that are flying off right now defensively, I do want Jalen Johnson right now.
I love it.
See, Ryan, this is a mental game. I would have never picked Jalen Johnson.
Don't tell me what to do with my team.
And Coach Tyler wouldn't have either. You guys are doing these, out there picks. I'm doing this to win. My 2 picks are Jalen Ramsey and Jair Alexander.
Okay. All right. So
thank you.
Oh man. Okay.
Jair is in the same mold as Denzel. He's small, but he's a physical freak.
Okay, so that leaves I'm picking now. Because you guys already picked your corners, I'm not really worried about it anymore. I
No.
think I'm gonna move on to another position. I think obviously Coach Tyler's gonna pick defense next. So that's gonna be something I gotta kind of take into consideration now. So right now I have Jonathan Taylor, Jalen Johnson, and Myles Garrett. Um, I think I'm building my defense right now, but I've technically got three players because one of my next defensive picks is going to be a corner. But I think I got to pick what I think is the best offensive line in football. Um, it's kind of tough for me. Um, I think I'm going to go with Tampa Bay's offensive line. They got to protect. They're going to protect Tom Brady, and I think with him, I don't know. He's not a very mobile quarterback, and they do a pretty solid job of keeping him up. So I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. Coach
All
Tyler.
right.
I mean, you're right. Defense. We're gonna go at free safety, Antoine Winfield Jr.
Yes.
I mean, I said it. I hate Cole Kmet. And it's not because he's really bad. It's because that dude is on the board. And at 5'9", that dude's a freak. So, and then my strong safety, I need a dude who's gonna go smack a guy. I don't need and there's only one dude in the NFL to me that matches that physicality, and that's Derwin James.
All right. So y'all are putting me on the spot. You guys you're spitting it too quick, man. I'm jotting down these names and everything, and then immediately I got to think about who I got to pick next.
All right, I'll give you time to think. Coach Tyler, what do you think about Kyle Hamilton? I love Kyle Hamilton. I mean, I think he's Derwin James light, he's Derwin James is what he is.
Well,
he's my favorite player in the entire draft. Like, I don't care. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson's my boy. Kyle Hamilton is, I don't think it's questionable. I think he's the best player in the draft. But he plays safety, so he's not going to be taken.
Oh, yeah, he's a freak. Unfortunately, they just got someone out of the transfer portal that's 10 times better than him. So, Brandon Joseph, Bears fan, obviously Justin Fields. When you get one-handed pick as a freshman in a Big Ten championship game at Northwestern, I mean, Justin Fields looked embarrassed in that game. Okay. Northwestern stellar, which Pat Fitzgerald was the Bears head coach, wanted him that after that. But Brandon Joseph's a freak, and Kyle Hamilton is you just don't have a safety to knock people's heads off, and Kyle Hamilton's a freak. If we went all time, obviously I'm probably going to choose Cam Chancellor every time.
Yes.
If I had to build a safety, as a strong safety, I want Cam Chancellor.
That's fair.
So,
all right, Ryan, you good?
Okay. For me, right, it's come down to, I mean, I'm a very defensive minded person, or not offensive minded person. And because, there are obviously some young players that are really, really good. And, I want a solid defense to keep up with your guys's, because I could have this awesome offense. But the thing is that, like, no matter what, if I'm going up against either one of your guys' teams, it's going to be countered because you guys have this stud defense. So right now, what I'm looking at, it's a little tough between my edge. Oh no, I already have my edge rusher. But I guess what I'm looking at right now is either my middle linebacker spot or my defensive tackle. And with that, I think, no, you know what? I'm gonna shock it. I'm gonna pick a quarterback, and I'm
Yes.
I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, no, you know what? Before you write that down, no, I'm not. I'm going Joe Burrow. Give me Joey Burrow. Joe Burrow right now. It's a little, it's early, but I'd like to see what he does. If it's possible, I'd like to see what he does with Tampa Bay's offensive line.
Yeah, that's true. You almost gave me a heart attack there because despite Coach Tyler's say, I'm have the best defense in this. Give me the best defensive player in the entire world. Give me Aaron Donald, please. He's gonna be my D tackle, but he's plays D tackle. He plays DN. They have a weird scheme. Give me my D tackle.
See, I was gonna pick him. I had him on my little chart or whatever. While you guys were talking, I looked up his age, and at 30 years old, I was a little hesitant.
Don't care.
It depends, but yeah. Okay, so who you got? Who you got for your next pick?
I'm gonna stick with this whole defensive theme. I'm gonna pick my favorite safety in the NFL. At my free safety spot, I'm taking Jesse Bates.
Love it. If you didn't know, fun fact for you, Jesse Bates also played in the state of Indiana with the Fort Wayne Bishop Bluers. So just in case if you wanted to know that.
There you go.
So that leaves me with the next pick, right?
Yep.
All right. So this means I have to go defense. And unfortunately, he just went down with that ACL tear, like you said. And it's kind of ironic because I picked Joe Burrow, but I'm gonna go with Fred Warner right here.
Dang.
For middle linebacker. Coach Tyler.
All right, we're gonna go with my edge rusher, Nick Bosa.
Solid.
I mean,
great value.
If you guys haven't, I mean, I'm here to build a 10-year defense, not a right now defense. It just so happens these guys are also stars right now. And I think the oldest one on this is Tre'Davious White at 26, maybe. Okay. So, and then my defensive tackle is DeForest Buckner.
Oh man, you had to. That's actually my next. It was gonna be my next pick. A little fun fact before I pick next. So okay, I'll just say this. I'm gonna pick Chris Jones as my defensive tackle. But about DeForest Buckner, I watched the Hard Knocks with the Colts on HBO Max, and because of that, DeForest Buckner's quickly become one of my favorite players in the league. And man, I was really hoping you wouldn't say that because he would have been my pick. But I guess Chris Jones, yeah, it's still solid, but it's not DeForest Buckner. Ben?
See, I was gonna take linebacker there, but now I don't have to worry about anybody take my linebacker. Thinking strong safety here. I kind of want to go Buda Baker, but give me Buda Baker.
Okay. And then your next pick?
We're gonna have to give Justin Herbert a safety blanket, so we're doing Devontae Adams. No, we're doing Jamar Chase.
I was gonna say Devontae Adams is getting.
I wanted Devontae Adams, but he's getting old, so we're doing Jamar Chase.
All right. So for my next pick, I'm gonna go with my safety here, and I'm gonna pick Minka Fitzpatrick.
Okay.
All right. Well, since I have defense done, fortunately, I got to score points. So I'm choosing the Colts offensive line,
okay,
which is the best offensive line in football.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why Jonathan Taylor runs, I mean, not just he's a great running back, it's because the dude's a freak. But Quentin Nelson's the meanest dude in football.
Coach Tyler, really quick before you do your next pick, who is your defensive tackle? Apparently,
DeForest.
Yes. Okay. Yep. I was so upset I didn't jot it down. All right, keep going. Sorry.
Um, and I haven't picked a quarterback yet. I'm still not going to pick a quarterback, but we're going to get a target already, and we're going to get AJ Brown.
Bold. All right.
Yeah.
Because okay, so we're picking 2 wide receivers. And because he wasn't picked, I'm going Cooper Kupp.
I was really hoping you weren't going to say that.
I figured that's going to be the route that you're going to go because you still need your offense. But the thing is, I'm not going to let him slide. And I was very shocked that you picked AJ Brown right there.
So was I.
Well,
Ben?
if you wanted to know, the explanation is AJ Brown is a freak. He's tall. He's big. I mean, yeah, Cooper is great, but who matches? If I had to go off your teams right now, you have Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson's not running with AJ Brown.
Okay. I've got another corner, but
Jalen and Jair, they have this, Jalen's physical. Well, so is AJ Brown. So that could be a wash. And obviously Jalen's the best in the game and they have the speed. But now it comes to, I think AJ Brown probably has the strongest hands in football. But I just rip it. I mean, this is basically, no offense. This is for Ben. This is, hey, your dude's stronger and fast enough to face my guy. And AJ Brown is probably the strongest and fastest. He's a Julio when Julio was at his prime.
that's fair. All right. So Ben, I believe that's who's picking next, right? Oh, he dropped out. Okay. 1 second.
I'm not gonna let Justin Jefferson get to any of you guys, so we're gonna give Justin Jefferson at my second wide receiver. So we have Justin Herbert throwing to Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. I mean, if that's not overpowered, I don't know what is.
That's solid. Who's your next pick?
See, how old is Travis Kelce?
He's like 31.
Yeah,
he's
getting up
32.
there.
Crud.
Oh, just kidding.
How old is Darren Waller? That's another good question.
27.
Wow, geez. We're gonna go with Kyle Pitts.
Perfect. With that
hurts
pick,
me a
I'm
little bit.
picking the 26-year-old tight end.
Hold
Mark
on.
Andrews.
What were you gonna say, Coach Tyler?
That hurt me because Kyle Pitts was one of my next 2 picks. Because basically I'm saying good luck because Kyle Pitts is a freak.
Yes, he is.
Mark Andrews, 26-year-old tight end. Amazing. He was my number 1. I mean, on my draft board. I got him.
All right, hold on 1 second. I gotta just check this person's age.
Ben, I was sitting here thinking like he's gonna pick Mark Andrews. I know it.
It's just like Coach Tyler said, Kyle Pitts is just so freaky. I mean, like he's crazy.
There's one person I think Coach Tyler's gonna pick for his tight end. I think I'm reading his mind, but I could be wrong. All right, Coach Tyler, you're smiling at me. What you got?
Well, first we're gonna go receiver. We want to go LSU boys at Ben. Well, let's go Old Miss boys and go DK Metcalf.
Oh,
okay.
And then let's choose the best tight end in the NFL and George Kittle.
How old is George Kittle?
28.
See, okay. Now that it's my
turn. He's probably your oldest player, isn't he?
He is now officially my oldest player.
That's a pretty young team, and he's got some pretty. Oh man, that's crazy. Who I thought he was gonna pick for his tight end was Hawkinson from Detroit.
Yeah.
He's a beast, and he's young.
When he develops and he gets to like George Kittle's a special breed of tight end that just doesn't. It's not in the NFL anymore. This dude loves to block. the reason why the 49ers do their thing is because they run the ball successfully, play action passes. You get to your tight end.
Right. Iowa is tight end you. I mean, they have Noah Fant. It's crazy. Noah Fant, TJ Hawkinson, George Kittle. It's phenomenal.
All right. So it's my pick now?
Yes.
All right. So I need a second wide receiver. Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson are off the table, as well as AJ Brown and DK Metcalf. Somebody who I think is going to blossom into this beautiful wide receiver. Now that you guys are done, I guess I can explain my big board here. So I'm thinking Jalen Waddle. I think he's going to be Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle is going to be who I pick here, and it was between him and Deebo Samuel. But I really like Jalen Waddle. I'm just going to say it, just plain and simple, no explanation. Jalen Waddle. That's my pick.
Put Jair Alexander on him and you're fine.
All right. So who do you have as your next pick?
I guess I only have 3 positions left, and all 3 of them are stuff you guys have besides running back. How old is Derrick Henry?
27.
28. See, that's tough because I wanted. Yeah, we'll do it anyways. Derrick Henry.
Okay.
That leaves me now with the O-line and linebacker, and I don't have to worry about any of them. So it doesn't really matter what order I take them in. But just because Coach Tyler's here, we'll take the linebacker. We'll go Darius Leonard.
He was also on my big board. With that, I'm going to finish my team by picking Xavier Howard as my last corner. I think he's very underrated.
Well, love my last 2 positions. I got to think here real quick because, I mean, I would have chose Derrick Henry. That's another good luck type of scenario here. But, oh, crap.
For those listening that haven't really been keeping track, he has running back and quarterback as his final 2 positions.
Oh, I'm dumb. I'm on Saquon Barkley.
He's too hurt for me.
Well, it's only happened these past 2 years. Or technically, it was only really last year from the ACL tear. It's hard to come back into the NFL to be successful as he was. He's a freak. I think he'll be right back on track. And then quarterback, I mean, screw it. I think he's going to the Super Bowl. I mean, I already said I think the 49ers are going to win, but I don't care. I hope they win too, this team. So why not have the biggest arm in the NFL if you have the 2 fastest receivers in Josh Allen?
Nice.
All right, Ben, who is your offensive line?
See, I want to go with one of the best offensive lines, but also I know they're old as. We're going to go with the 49ers just because of Trent Williams.
All right. So with that pick, that concludes the draft. So, thank you for being a part of the first Pigskin Project draft. That was awesome for me. I don't know how it was for you guys. I mean, I really enjoyed that. I was really looking forward to this week in and week out. But I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go team by team and give our listeners who has who. Starting off with our number 1 pick and Coach Tyler. He has Josh Allen at quarterback, Saquon Barkley at running back, A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf at wide receiver, George Kittle at tight end, Indianapolis's offensive line, Tre'Davious White and Denzel Ward at corner, Antoine Winfield and Derwin James at safety, Roquan Smith as his middle linebacker, Nick Bosa as his edge rusher, and DeForest Buckner as his defensive tackle. As for my team, I had Joe Burrow at quarterback, Jonathan Taylor at running back, Cooper Kupp, Jalen Waddle at wide receiver, Mark Andrews at tight end, Tampa Bay, their offensive line, Jalen Johnson and Xavier Howard at corner, Minka Fitzpatrick at safety, Fred Warner at middle linebacker, edge rusher is Myles Garrett, and Chris Jones was my defensive tackle. And then last but not least, Ben's team was Justin Herbert at cornerback, Derrick Henry at running back, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson at wide receiver, Kyle Pitts at tight end, San Francisco's offensive line, Jalen Ramsey, Jair Alexander at corner, Jesse Bates, Budda Baker at safety, Darius Leonard at middle linebacker, TJ Watt, at edge rusher, and then Aaron Donald at defensive tackle. I should be able to put a poll in for Spotify, but if you guys could leave us a review for who you guys think are, whose team was drafted better as far as longevity and just overall, I'll be honest with you. I don't think I can compete as far as my defense goes. I think I could pick it a little bit better. But guys, thank you guys for coming on the show. Coach Tyler, do you have any final thoughts before we close here?
Listen, I loved it. It was amazing. I can't wait to hear, future shows. Obviously, whenever you guys want me, I'm a big talker, and I love football. I live and breathe it. So anytime, I'll gladly do it. I can always give you guys high school football news. I can always talk about anything that we're doing. And if any of you guys, I've told Ryan this plenty of times, but Ben, since you're here, you can add me on Snap. We talked on Instagram before. I'll gladly help you guys if you want to pursue a coaching career. I'll be your guys' number one supporter, and just reach out and I'll help y'all any way I can. So I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you so much. It means a lot.
Ben?
It was fun having you, and I'm sure we'll have you back. And again, fun talking college football with you. Thank you.
Before you end it here, I actually didn't have any of these picks ready.
Neither did I.
I thought we were gonna do a college draft.
No.
I have all my college players picked. I ready, and I'm like, all right, let's rock and roll. And then I'm like, oh, biscuits. So all these picks on the fly, like, shoot, I gotta pick someone here. So
you did great, spur of the moment. That was insane. Yeah. Man, yeah, thanks again for having it, or for being on. Being one of your players for JV and being able to be coached for varsity was a great experience as well. And I never really got to tell you that towards the end. But for those listening that don't quite know Coach Tyler like me and Ben, he's a great guy, even better coach. He'll coach you like a great guy, but at the same exact time, he's extremely passionate. He'll get in your face. You get hurt, he's going to tell you to rub dirt on it and get back out there. He's got a bright future ahead of him, and so does his Calumet New Tech Warriors. Very excited to see what they can do here in their 2022 campaign. But if you made it this far, we want to say thank you for listening all the way through. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Pigskin Project. We have a lot scheduled for next week's show, including our reactions from the divisional round, conference championship previews and picks, and much, much more. So make sure you're subscribed or following us on all platforms. We'd like to give a big thank you to Anchor.fm for helping us promote our podcast, and Coach Tyler Milby for coming on the show. Please leave a review down below, as it helps us more than you know. And that's it for this week.